Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita session. We are discussing some of the verses from chapter 5, and in that connection, we'll be talking about a particular verse and expand that topic onto the discussion that we will do basis this title, Story of an Attached Householder. So we'll we'll get to that very shortly. Um, this is the slide we stop by every week to remind ourselves to that we should keep an open heart, open mind, so that learning can happen. We we all have a lot of conditionings throughout our life. We have learned a lot of things. We have learned from experiences. We have learned from attending similar courses otherwise, and we have heard from different speakers, different influential speakers, different speakers having a lot of followers, so and so forth. So we've had a lot of conditioning within ourselves. But when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, we should understand that this is the origin of all knowledge. All knowledge originates here. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranita. Whatever Bhagavan has spoken, that is what is available in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is the source. Everyone is taking from the same Bhagavad Gita and presenting it according to the audience, according to the need of an audience. But essentially, everything is coming from Bhagavad Gita. Whatever knowledge, wherever it exists, comes from Bhagavad Gita only. So we should remember that. And with this, we should have an open mind to learn, to change our conception, to change our impressions, to change our values, to our behaviors, and then only the devotional transformation can take place. To remind ourselves to be on the battlefield, uh, we 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 remind we stop by this slide as well every Sunday, just not to become relaxed, just not to take things for granted. We have to, and on the battlefield everyone is always alert. On the battlefield everyone is always careful, cautious, and always dealing with urgent and important things. And this is where Arjuna asks questions, and in response to those questions, Krishna chose to speak the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita by stopping the war. Practically, two sides were eager to fight with each other to begin the war. That was so so the war was just about to begin, but Krishna said, this is the perfect moment for me to speak Bhagavad Gita." And he put Arjuna into delusion, and made Arjuna ask questions in that bewildered state of mind. Pruchhami tvam dharma samudha cheta. And in response to those questions, and the subsequent questions that Arjuna will present later, but essentially in response to those questions, Krishna chose to speak the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Later, he said in fourth chapter that the same knowledge he had given to Sun God at the beginning of creation. So it's not that this was a freshly concocted knowledge just to satisfy the inquiry of Arjuna, which he presented on the battlefield. Krishna had pre-planned this event and made Arjuna ask those questions so that he could speak the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So this is uh, happening under the divine plan by Lord Krishna. But Krishna is playing a part, just like a character play part in drama. Even though the drama would be written by him, it would be directed by him, it would be produced by him. But when he's acting as if he's caught by surprise by Arjuna's decision not to fight. And that is how this Bhagavad Gita conversation unfold. And Krishna speaks about Atma Gyan in second chapter, Karma Yoga in third chapter, speak about himself in the fourth chapter, and now in the fifth chapter he's going to speak about Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Sannyas is a renunciation. Is renunciation should not be that of karma. Renunciation in karma. So while perform your actions in a renounce mood, change the motivation behind your action, and that will change the consequences. The karma phala will change if you change your motivation before doing the action. So this is what Krishna is predominantly going to speak about in this 29 verses of chapter 5. uh, one verse we discussed yesterday, the 11th verse, Kayana Manasa Buddhya Kevalai Indriyarapi Yoginah Karma Kurvanti Sanga Tyaktyama Atma Shuddhaye. That Atma Shuddhaye, this was the focus of our discussion in our previous session last Sunday, where we spoke in detail about need for Atma Shuddhaye. Who should do it? Why should do we do it? Atma means what? And how it can be done. And we spent a lot of time discussing those aspects of Atma Shuddhaye. And essentially we looked at we considered we all agreed that self purification of the self cannot happen if my mind is not cooperating. If my mind is rebelling, is not agreeing to what I'm doing, then it is practically impossible for me to do anything, what to speak of self purification. So for self purification, my mind's cooperation is essential. And with regard to the mind, we discussed a lot of things last Sunday, that how my mind is my how there are how my mind act like a transmitter sometimes, and trans and transformer as at some other times. And so when as a transmitter, it simply transmit the the input that is coming from the senses to the soul. But as a transformer, it projects some images, and it forces soul to focus on some aspect of the image, um, and then ignore the other. And as a transformer, mind has capability of playing videos, playing storing impressions, and pulling back those impressions, and many other things that we discussed last Sunday. So the mind can create a lot of trouble for us if its transforming abilities are not controlled, are not regulated. And therefore we analyze those further, and we discuss about instincts or vrittis, and impulses or vasanas, how vrittis need to be developed and how vasanas need to be regulated. To develop vritti or swabhava or instincts, we need to associate, create bonds with the people who are also having similar interest. And that way, when we create bonds with them, we grow. We are able to grow in those instincts. And with regards to the impulses, we spoke about how it is important to create boundaries, so that we reduce their usage, eventually stop their usage. And so anarthas are the examples of our impulses: lust, anger, hate, greed, envy. So these we need to regulate, and eventually we need to stop those impulses. And then we discuss with reference to this chart, where we have, when we have boundaries and bonds, this is a best case situation for mind transformation, where we are bonds, where we are associating with devotees, where we are boundaries, we are doing the do's and we are doing the don'ts also. We are we know what to do and we are doing it. We need to do japa, we need to read scriptures, we need to visit temples, associate with devotees, ask them questions, visit dham, engage in some services. So those actions create bond. And boundaries, we need to regulate our sensual activity. We need to stop doing, following the four regulative principles, whereby we will give up meat eating, we'll give up illicit sex, we'll give up intoxication, we'll give up gambling. So those four things when we give up, and we protect ourselves from those vices by creating boundaries, by by drawing Lakshman Reshas, by creating hurdles between us and doing those activities, even though socially they might be cool. Today, drinking is considered to be socially cool activity. Everybody does it. Children do it, women do it, old people do it, young people do it. Practically, the whole country seems to be doing it, but we can't do it. If we do it, then we cannot create bonds. We cannot then we cannot develop love for Krishna. So for the purpose of our transformation, these are uh, they will destroy our bhakti. They are capable of destroying our bhakti. So we need to create boundaries. We need to stop doing those things eventually. And to start, we have to reduce their usage. Eventually, we have to stop their usage. And bond, we have to increase. We have to associate with those. We have to create. We have to start liking them by ourselves. If we are struggling with that, at least we should associate with those who are liking those activities, like japa, like reading scriptures, understanding philosophy, discussing philosophy, deity worship, temple visit. So when we associate with our those do's and people who like to do those do's, that's how that we give ourselves best opportunity to grow our love for doing those things. So this is best case situation for mind transformation. The worst case situation we discussed last Sunday is where we are not, there is no bond, no boundaries. No bond and no boundaries. This is a worst case situation. So, for example, if an addict, alcohol addict, is not taking classes where they speak about the they speak about the bad effects of that addiction on health, on the social life, on the family life of that person, and encourage, inspire people to give up addiction. So if you there are many sessions, rehabilitation sessions that are conducted for addicts. If one is not going there, one is not doing taking those sessions, and on top of it, if one maintains a large stock of alcohol at home, this addict may never overcome addiction in this lifetime, because he's not creating, there's no bond with like-minded people, there's no boundary uh, to that addiction. So when that stock is available at home, there is every likelihood that he will keep drinking. So he's in a worst case situation for transformation. Another ones are those who have bond but they don't keep boundaries. This is also struggle. They are also strugglers. They cannot be successful for simple reason that if you happen to be reading, if you have a developed desire for reading Bhagavad Gita, and if you happen to be doing this,
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
yes,
Apologies for volume has gone a bit down.
Hare Krishna, is this better?
Yeah, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, if you have developed liking for reading Bhagavad Gita, but you do that where everybody is watching cricket match or everybody is watching movie, so every time they cheer, you look at them, you look at the screen, so there's no boundary when you desire to create a transformation in yourself. You need to know also what to do, and you also need to know what not to do, and how to protect yourself from those temptations, from those tempting objects. So that way, this is also not very useful, doesn't cannot make a lot of progress if we happen to be in this zone. And in this zone, where we are told what not to do, but we are not told what to do. Now this is also not a very successful zone where people will stop doing this, but because they have not created bonds with what to do, do's, they don't know what to do. Eventually they stop doing it for some time, but eventually they will go back to doing those things. There are boundaries but no bonds. This is not very sustainable situation. So when we tell people don't indulge in the four regulative principles, we should also give them reasons why doing it, for not doing it, and also tell them what to do. What to do? Start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Start with at least one round. Start visiting temple. Start attending temple programs. Start coming for temple festivals. Start talking to devotees. Do some seva if you cannot devote time, give some money. Whatever you can, in whichever way and means you can, you should serve, you should return to Krishna, you should do something for Krishna. So if those bonds are not created, then even if one may try to follow four regularity principle, eventually he will have these bonds are supposed to give you happiness, spiritual happiness. If they don't get this spiritual happiness by indulging in these activities, do's, then eventually they will go back to these things. Why? Because they have not had any alternative. So if you not do spiritual activity, you will by default go back to doing material activities, and search for happiness will continue. So this is also not a very comfortable zone to be in. So we should try to be in this zone. This is the best case situation where the maximum transformation can take place. Moving on, we'll look at one verse today, and another beautiful term in this verse we'll elaborate upon. By acting for self, one gets entangled. This is 5.12. Yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantim apnoti nishtikim ayuktah kamakarena phale sakto nibhadyate. So yuktah karma phalam tyaktva. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace. Shanti mapnoti nishtikim. He attains, the soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruit of his labor, becomes entangled. So, two type of people, they might be doing the same activity, might be say working as in the bank, and but one is greedy for the fruit of his labor, and one wants to offer the result of his action to Krishna. He says that he offered the result of all activities to me. So if he's working in a bank, he's getting some salary. He's making a regular donation for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, for the temple maintenance of a temple, for book distribution, for Bhagavatam distribution, for Gita marathon, for various festivals. He's regularly donating to the temple. Why? Because he's unable to give his time. So utilizing that time, whatever earnings that he do, he's sharing a part of it with Krishna, and that way he is offering a result of all his activities to Krishna. So this way, this person, he says that this kind of a person, this person will can attain unadulterated peace. Why? Because he's not attached to the fruits of his labor. Whereas the other person, the in the working in the same bank, same type of job at the same grade, getting the similar kind of a salary, that person is who is greedy for the fruit of his labor becomes entangled. If he's not ready to offer it to Krishna out of love, then then his motivation is for his own pleasure, to utilize this the fruit of his labor for his own pleasure. Such person becomes entangled. Prabhupada will elaborate in the purport. The difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the result of his activities. In the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being once functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there is no duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness. The opposite of this is the other person. But one who is entangled in the profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Realization that there is no existence beside Krishna. That is the platform of peace and fearlessness. Peace and fearlessness. Prabhupada very categorical in using different words. So the entangled person, nibadhyate, badhyate. In Bhagavad Gita, this terminology comes many times. That how karma is binding. First time it comes in the second chapter, where Eshate Bihita Sankhye Buddhi Yoget Vimashruno Buddhya Yukta Yaya Partha Karma Bandha Prahasyasi. He speaks about karma bandha. The karmas have bandha. Karma, yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. He elaborates that in the third chapter, ninth verse, that yajnarthat karmano anyatra. This yagya purusha should perform all your activities as a offering to the as a yagya to the yagya purusha, and that yagya purusha Krishna says is me. So ultimately, it has to be offered. All our actions should be offered to Krishna. We should perform all our actions as an offering to Krishna. Our and that way, anyatra, if you don't do it this way, then lokoyam karma bandhana, then that work will cause bondage. So from morning to sleeping evening, in our life, from our childhood to till the moment of our death, whatever we do, we should do it as an offering for Krishna. We should offer the fruits of our action for Krishna. The best, chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita will analyze this in different way. The best is to uh, work for Krishna with all your mind, all your heart, all your intelligence, everything, using your everything that you have, use it for the service, direct service of Krishna. Engage in direct service of Krishna. And 8, 12.8, 12.9, 12.10, 11, Krishna elaborates that if you can't do this, at least do this, at least do this, at least do this. Like that, he brings them to a lower level. But at least he says, when you can't work for Krishna, in one verse he says that at least offer the fruits of your actions to Krishna. So majority of our time will be lost in working. If we begin work at the age of 20, 21, 22, depending on our education completion, and we technically work until the age of 60. Some people even wants to work beyond that also. Sometimes not, may not be as a employee, but then as a consultant in different capacities. As long as one has energy, one wants to work, and they feel will become useless if we stop working, and hence they continue to work. They continue to try to remain useful for their family members. They try to earn the bread. Um, they try to give that extra income, a boost for their children, even because at the age of 60, 65, the children are also earning a lot of money, hopefully, but they want to also continue to work because they have not they don't know anything else other than work. And the moment they stop working, most of these people, they get caught by various diseases, uh, because while you are working, you suppress, you ignore a lot of those clues that the body is giving, and suddenly many diseases pop up, and the rest of the life goes in managing those diseases, taking medicines, and then just waiting for the death to arrive. They have no other purpose. So very and we'll look at that in detail through the discussion of between Lord Kapila and the Mother Devahuti in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 30th. So, entangled. The person is entangled. Sometimes he get electric shocks also. This entitlement also has so it's a binding for the person, and it's extremely painful for that person also. What we will do is, from the rest of the session, we will, as I said, we will discuss about the verses, text of the verses from chapter 30 Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Lord Kapila is discussing with his mother, guiding his mother, explaining to his mother the fate of a person who is entangled. Attached grasta, attached householder. What happens to such a person? Any before any movie, generally a caption is given by the movie producers that if you find any similarity in this movie with the real characters, it's just a matter of coincidence. We have not no intention of copying this. No copyright violations have been done. So but in our case, in the case of the discussions that will happen from now until the end of this session, the similarities are not just coincidence. It's like seeing in the mirror and find a similar impression is not a coincidence. When we see the mirror, we see we 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 intend to see who we are. Unfortunately, good, bad, ugly, whatever that will appear, and we will it that will be the reality. So whatever Bhagavatam speak is the reality. It's not illusion, it's not hallucination, it's reality. It's a brutal reality. And it's up to us how we take it. It's up to us how we take to the message of Godhead. But the reality just remains a reality. It does not change. Even if we choose to ignore it, it remains same, and it will catch us at a later stage in our life. So sooner we adapt, sooner we agree, sooner we accept, the better it is for us. As we said, 30th, we start from checks 30. We'll be doing a lot of reading. So all of you can please pay attention. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Somebody is unmuted for any reason particular? No. Yeah. Please keep yourself on mute, and hopefully slides are legible. Hopefully you're sitting comfortable. Try to read and try to reflect. uh, and as I said, if you happen to find any similarities, it's not a coincidence. It's just seeing the mirror. So contemplate as to what can be done, how we can work on the problem statement rather than ignoring the problem statement. So this is what the purpose. We have power to choose. We can make changes. That's why scriptures exist. And by reading scriptures, we are supposed to introduce those changes in our life. It cannot keep our life as it is, even after reading the scriptures, because then it's as good as not reading the scriptures. So everybody, please pay attention, and keep contemplating, keep thinking as to, we'll have a couple of question answers in between, but because it's a longish session, I started early. I want to utilize all time, and we can probably do some discussion at the end of a question answer. The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent, and that the attraction of home, land, and that of the home, land, and wealth which are in relationship to that body are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Mhm. So the body is temporary. uh, Body is temporary, body is impermanent, and hence everything in connection with that body is also temporary, not permanent. But by mistake, by ignorance, by forgetfulness, because we forget that we are soul, we are eternal soul, because we forget this reality, uh, we start believing in the in the illusion that whatever exists is my permanent possession. It's like when someone is sleeping and he gets a dream, and he in the dream he's becoming king, and he has a palace. And when so it's like starting to believe that what you saw in the dream is reality. Thinking that dream is a reality is the biggest illusion that one can think of. But precisely that is what we are all doing. We are not this body, we are spirit, soul, and unfortunately, we are in this particular body for this lifetime. Not that every lifetime we were having a similar body and a similar surrounding, but because we take this temporary situation to be my permanent situation, we create a problem for ourselves. Prabhupada write in the purport, the materialist think that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows, wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. This is a very uh, very very wonderful statement by Prabhupada that purport in the purport he writes that materialist, and that's all of you probably would have experienced this, that when you started chanting, your friends, your family members, your relatives would have criticized you, would have said क्यों कर रहे हो. Even if you are old, they said maze maro. uh, just type yes in the chat box if you also have faced similar criticism. I faced a lot of criticism where from people were not like, really very conducive, were not very encouraging around me, even though I didn't had much of uh, entanglement in terms of this thing. But they were caught by surprise when we took up to the process of japa, when we decided we should become sincere, we should believe in Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita, and we should do as he's saying to the best of our ability. And then we started introducing changes in our life, in our food, in our in our eating, in our vacationing. Everything was changing, and people were not very happy about it, and they didn't criticized per se, but I didn't face per se a lot of criticism, but a lot of my devotees with whom we interact, they face a lot of challenges. They have to hide sometimes their bill bags from family members because they will make fun of it. So so they people think that people who are chanting Hare Krishna are crazy. Prabhupada says, but unfortunately, they are the one who are crazy, and they are in the darkest region of ignorance because they think this body to be the permanent. And in relation to his body, he accept his home, his country, his society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. Not only body, but everything attached to the body also one considers to be permanent. Yeah, they were surprised when I started Japa. Yes. Uh, so this permanent versus temporary confusion, is very important to understand. And the materialist, this materialist, materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc., is called the illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Mahadgraha kshetre vasune. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but temporary illusion. Text 4. The living entity in whatever species of life he appears find a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. So this is, a lot of people will actually uh, tell you that life is meant for enjoyment, and find ways and means by which you can enjoy. ये तुम लोग ये नहीं खाने का, वो नहीं खाने का, इस चक्कर में क्यों पड़ रहे हो? Enjoy करो, enjoy करना है, पता नहीं कितनी life है. They give you philosophy, and this philosophy they might have had learned from movies. You never know. Zindagi na milegi dobara. There could be a movie which will where a good looking actor, good looking actress, they are preaching through their actions, through their dialogues, which are written by somebody. Um, and so that way, movies become the big preaching mission. People want to do all kind of preaching through movies. The advertising is another preaching medium. By promoting people to use condoms, uh, to use all kind of uh, birth control mechanisms, so that continue to enjoy, but don't face the consequences. If at all worst case scenario you end up begetting a child, abortion is also available. Why not just enjoy? I mean, it has taken life to a different tangent completely, wherein instead of talking about regulation, one is actually giving encouragement. And because of this, the whole society is confused, because government is preaching, the whole corporates are preaching through their advertisements, movies are preaching, everybody is preaching, and everybody around us, social media, everybody is preaching how you should enjoy, what ways and means is which you should enjoy, which goggle you should wear and enjoy, which deodorant you should apply and enjoy, which cloth you should wear and enjoy, which foreign destinations you should go and enjoy, which car you should drive and enjoy, and so forth. There's unlimited options that are being created for our enjoyment, and one everybody is in this mad rat race of enjoyment and posting on the social media how they are enjoying. Now this is creating a lot of pressure on everyone who is not trying to do that, or who is thinking alternative, what alternative enjoyment that can be there. One can enjoy by chanting and dancing in the kirtan. Nobody wants that kind of enjoyment. So the so the so there's a whole social pressure that gets created, and against that social pressure, one is trying to become a devotee. So that's why becoming a devotee is rare, is so special. Coming in Krishna consciousness is so special. Getting to know, getting to have the devotee association is so special. Getting to learn about Bhagavad Gita is so special. Getting to understand something from Bhagavad Gita is so special. Uh, Getting to get started implementing those teachings in our life is so special, because there's a whole big population which is doing the opposite thing, and you're doing, it's like, swimming against the tide. It's that difficult, but it should be done, it must be done. And this enjoyment is what people cite as an example. इसे तुम एंजॉय नहीं कर पाओगे अगर तुमने मीट ईटिंग छोड़ दिया, तो क्या एंजॉयमेंट है लाइफ में? शराब नहीं है, शबाब नहीं है, लाइफ में एंजॉयमेंट क्या करोगे तुम? योर लाइफ इज अ मेस. एंड एग्जैक्टली दिस इज व्हाट is Prabhupada is going to explain. Lord Kapila is going to explain to his mother, and Prabhupada will elaborate on the purport. That everybody, in each whatever species of life you are in, whichever condition you are in, there is a particular type of satisfaction that is available, and one is not averse. And that satisfaction is such that keeps you bound in that species. It does not let you, it's let you feel that you are in a miserable condition. Even if you are, it will give you so much pleasure. Somehow it will create so much pleasure in you that you will think you are in the best case situation. And Prabhupada will give very graphic example. We'll read the purport. The satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. Prabhupada has given multiple definitions of illusion. And previous purport also there was one definition of illusion, and now here also. When you feel very happy in a particular type of body, that satisfaction that one gets, even if it's in the most abominable condition, is called illusion. Even a hog who lives by eating stool find himself very happy. Although a person in a higher mode of life see that hog is eating stool and how abominable that life is. But आप हॉग को पूछोगे ही वो बोलेगा मैं तो बड़ा खुश हूँ, मैं मुझे बहुत सारा कचरा अवेलेबल है, बहुत सारा गंद अवेलेबल है, एंड आई ईट दैट, आई रियलिश, रोज ही पार्टी होती है मेरी, एंड आई हैव मेनी शी हॉग्स, आई, खाना पीना मजे मारना, लाइफ एंड बच्चे पैदा करना, एंड क्या है, मुझे घर की चिंता नहीं है, होम लोन की चिंता नहीं है, आ, मुझे मैं गंदा दिखता हूँ अच्छा दिखता हूँ मुझे उसकी चिंता नहीं है, आई एम वेरी अट्रैक्टेड टू दैट शी डॉग शी हॉग, उनके साथ मजे मारो, लाइफ बेस्ट है, इससे ज्यादा और क्या चाहिए, हॉग इज वेरी हैप्पी. बट पर्सन हु इज ऑन अ हायर plane, or one is in a different better situated, he see कि हॉक तो बहुत मिजरेबल है, बट अब हॉक से पूछेंगे वो बोलेगा मैं तो बहुत खुश हूँ. Now this is illusion, this is why people say in maya, this is what maya is all about. Text 5, the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyments. And Prabhat gives in the purport that it is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brahaspati on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. सुअर का शरीर उन्होंने ले लिया. इंद्र, who was enjoying in the heavenly planet, the king of heaven, became sewer, became a hawk on this planet in the material world. Now, after many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to the heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hawk, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. He refused. Can you believe? Indra, who had Swargiya enjoyments available to him, but the moment he came to Hog body and he spent some time there, he forgot that he is Indra. बोले मैं शरीर नहीं छोड़ूंगा, ये शरीर बहुत प्रिय है, ये शरीर के साथ all these female hogs are associating, I am associating with all of them, शरीर नहीं रहेगा तो मैं enjoyment कैसे करूंगा. A sewer body, a hog's body. Indra is forgetting that he is Indra. What is available to him, Brahma is calling him, and he's saying, I can't. I just cannot give up this body because there's so much enjoyment available. You're saying was वहां पे भी ज्यादा enjoyment available है, but who knows? Who knows? मैं आज की ये enjoyment क्यों छोड़ू? He's arguing with Brahma and he's refused to go back. Refused to go back to Swargaloka. Can you imagine? This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his royal's heavenly standards of life and is satisfied with the standard of Hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य माम एकम शरणम व्रज हम तुम सर्व पापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचा. Prabhupada give that quotes that verse here, that give up everything in this material world, come to me and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. We are quite all right now. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? Why? अब सब कुछ तो अच्छा ही है यहाँ पे. This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be. Now, this is always a condition that a hog is eating human stool or gand खा रहा है. A human can observe this. But when you're in hog's body, you compete for that same piece of stool. A human, in human body, we think hog is abominable and we are good. But in Devata's body, in demigod's body, they will think humans are in abominable condition. Just like humans were seeing hog, Devatas will see human. But ultimately, everyone up to the planet of Brahma Loka is in the same condition, is all suffering. Everybody is suffering. Everybody may think the others are suffering more, but ultimately everyone is suffering. Everyone is suffering. A Brahma Bhuvanar Lokar Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetyatu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. The suffering, the reason for suffering is primarily Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, and understanding that, forgetting that they are spirit soul, they are not body. Assuming you are a body, you may have a inferior body as a hog, a better body as a human, and even better body than as a demigod. But ultimately everyone is thinking that they are body, and they are having better enjoyments than others, and hence they are better situated than others. But everyone is under illusion, unfortunately. Text 6. Such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep rooted attraction for body. For body, wife, home, children, animal, wealth, friends. In such association, the conditioned soul think himself quite perfect. This so-called Prabhupada write in the purport that this so-called perfection of human life is is a concoction. Therefore, it is said that the materialist, however materially qualified he may be, is worthless. A materialist, however well qualified he may be, is worthless because he is hovering on the mental plane, which will drag him again to the material existence of temporary life. One who acts on the mental plane cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to glide down again to material life. In the association of so called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied. Text 7. Although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kind of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled in order to maintain his so-called family and society. In purport, Prabhupada right, it is said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family, especially in these days when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxieties because of accepting the false presentation of Maya's family. Again, we'll read. It is better, easier to maintain an empire than maintain a small family, and and that is why because of the influence of Kali Yuga. The As the Kali Yuga advances, more everyone is full of anxiety. Everyone is Nobody is happy, nobody is peaceful. Everyone is feel as if they are harassed, and they are all filled with anxieties. And maintaining such people becomes very, very difficult. A householder struggle to maintain his family uh, throughout his life. And so this is false presentation of Maya. The family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishnaloka, there are also family, friends, society, father, and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change body, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes in a family of cats, and sometimes in a family of dogs. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friends here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Because they don't know that they are not permanent, eternal, they get attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning. But in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of real family association with Krishna. Again, if you don't know about Krishna, you will be dragged into the material world like this, and suffer endlessly. So it's important that we learn about Krishna very, very quickly, and take the take that uh, take that instruction to heart and try to follow it to the best of our ability throughout our life. The permanency, we have Krishna Prabhupada is saying that uh, everyone is just shadow, but we think they are permanent. They are here for some time and they depart in and we've had whichever body we go to, we get different kind of father, mother, and relatives. So none of those relatives will are permanent. And this is something is not very difficult to understand. If you contemplate where we came from, which birth we belong to, we had um, earlier, we don't know that, and which birth we will get in future, that also is not known. So, these family members who happen to be around me, uh, why am I supposed to be taking them seriously? How I can take them, how I can assume that the same family members were with me in multiple lifetimes, and scriptures actually gives the contrary information. He'll say it's just like every day you go on travel on a particular path, particular take a particular train or a bus. Every day you will see different people sitting there. It's like when there is a conversation between Yamraj is consoling queens of a king who died in the war. He says that just like on the ocean, some wooden some sticks come together and stay together for some time, and with another wave comes, they depart. Just like that, some family members assemble and stay together for some time, and when another wave comes of time, they depart. So we should not take them seriously. But it's not that we have these family members, that's the only position that we have. We have family members in Krishna Loka also. Because we don't have this information, we are forced to consider our existing family members as permanent, and that's where we end up investing all our lifetime. Text 8, he gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embrace and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of small children. Now, Lord Kapila is speaking very, very specific information about about women and the children, the small children. When they start talking, they say papa, mama. They take their first steps, they try to stand for the first time, they try to walk for the first time, they fall. They're so much dependent on us, they're so much loving us, and we are loving them. And this is the family life that everyone try to create, everyone's try to enjoy. So what's the problem with that? Let's hear through the purport. Family life within the kingdom of illusory energy Maya is just like prison for the eternal living entity. In prison, a prisoner is shackled by iron chains and iron bars. Similarly, a conditioned soul is shackled by the charming beauty of a woman, by her solitary embrace and talks of so called love, and by the sweet words of his small children. Thus, he forgets his real identity. What is the problem with this is this makes you forget your real identity. Not only your real identity, the identity of those your wife and children also. Now all of them, all of you, all the living entities, all the souls are part and parcel of Krishna. This wife and children are in our possession for the temporary period. They are not ours. They are Krishna's. They have been put in our custody. We are their caretaker. They happen to be in my care, but I don't own them. They don't belong to me. When we forget that, when we assume they to be mine, my wife, my children, then that that creates this conditioning where that's where Prabhupada writing here that it's like getting shackled it's like soul being imprisoned, soul being put into the prison. And what is the instead of iron shackles and iron chains, you have woman's beauty and sweet words spoken by the small children as those act like those shackles, like chains, which binds one very tightly into the prison and does not let uh, one come out of it. One doesn't even get a desire to go out of the prison. One need not lock such prison. Prison को ये लॉक चाबी ताला ही लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है, because this person will never leave. This person does not want to leave. Sometimes they're not happy with this wife, they go out and have affairs, and but one does not want to leave. One is interested in staying in the prison because he forgot that he's in prison. He forgot his real identity. He forgot the world outside exists, and he wants to be in the prison all the time. That is the danger of this. If we don't live a grasa life properly, this is the problem that we will end up having ourselves. The love of the woman at home and the talk of the children make one a secure prisoner, and then he cannot leave his home. Such a person is termed in Vedic language as Grahamedhi, which means one whose center of attraction is home. Grahastha refers to one who lives with family, wife, and children, but whose real purpose of living is to develop Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada makes the distinction. Grahamedhi is the one who consider home to be the center of his attraction, does everything for that home, uh, for wife, for children, for their children, for parents, and everything. His whole consciousness is filled with his home, and does wants to do everything for that home. Whereas Grahastha also has a home, also has wife, also has children, also lives with parents, but whose real purpose is to develop Krishna consciousness. He understand his spiritual being. He understand him to be a spirit soul. He understand all the other living entities also are children of Krishna, put in his custody. And in that consciousness, he takes care of them lovingly. Not that he don't love them, but he's not attached to them. So the difference between Grahamedhi and Grahastha is one is loving Krishna, and one is attached to Krishna, and one is lovingly taking care of children of Krishna, property of Krishna, who is what has been put in his possession. Whatever in his possession, he understand it to be a gift from Krishna in his care, and he acts like a caretaker. He take great care of that, whatever the possessions that he has, be it different souls in form of wife, children, parents, friends, or be it the material wealth that is also property of Krishna, but if it one can possess them. So grahastha, Prabhupada is saying, become a grahastha, don't become grahamedhi. One is therefore advised to become a grahastha and not a grahamedhi. The grahastha's concern is to get out of the family life created by illusion and enter into real family life with Krishna. Whereas the grahamedhi's business is to repeatedly chain himself to so called family life in one life after another and perpetually remain in the darkness of Maya. Now, Grahamedhi may not sound to be a very bad person per se. Grahamedi, at least he's attached to his wife and children and parents. What's wrong in that? कुछ बाहर तो कांड नहीं कर रहा है, बाहर जाके तो लफड़े नहीं कर रहा है, बाहर जाके तो अ, जुआ नहीं खेल रहा है. वन में भी a perfect ग्रह मेधी. But and per se, this Grahamedi does not sounds to be a very bad situation to be in. One is going to office, coming back, having very loving dealings with wife and children, but he does not know about Krishna. He is doing nothing for going back to Krishna himself. He is not encouraging his family members to do anything so that they can go back to Krishna. So such a person is Grahameti, because he is in Maya, and he will keep, by his influence, he will keep everybody in Maya, practically perpetually, repeatedly. He will have to come back to the material world and have different parents, different parents, accept different wife and children, from birth after birth after birth after birth, practically perpetually. He will remain here. Now this is the danger. Now this danger is not visible to those people who doesn't even know that they are spirit soul, and they belong to the spiritual world. They have to go back to the spiritual world. So that's why a Graha Medhi may sound to be a perfectly noble man, but he is leading a most useless life. Why? Because he will have zero opportunity to go back to Krishna. He's doing nothing for going back to Krishna personally, nor facilitating his other family members to go back to Krishna. So he's complete failure. His all his endeavors are a complete waste. Text 9, the attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by the acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reaction of his miseries. If he can successfully counteract such miseries, he think that he is happy. What is happiness for a grahast, for a householder, attached householder? जब कोई misery ना आए, then he feels very happy. So the absence of misery is his happiness. Such is his miserable condition. कि जब कोई मिजरी ना आए तो बोले मैं बहुत खुश हूँ, कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है आज सुबह से, हाथ पैर चल रहे हैं. So that is his conception of happiness. So he does not even get proper happiness also. Absence of misery, that he think is the happiness. That's such is the unfortunate condition of this person. Text 10, he secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eat only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those of whom he earned the money in such irregular way. uh, the famous story of Valia Kodi, who was killing people for, and he said that he's doing it for the maintenance of his family members. And Narad Muni told him that okay, uh, they accept the fruit of your कर्मा, दैट आपका जो कुछ कमाते हो, ये चोरी चपाटी खून खराबा करके वॉट एवर यू अर्न, you share a part of it, you give it to your family members and they eat, they accept it. But by doing this you are also incurring a lot of sin. uh, will they be ready to accept those sinful reactions also when they will come? And he was initially very confident. He said yes, and but he said no, go and check. And then Narad Muni actually instruct him to go and check with his family members, and they refuse. To his surprise, they refuse. They said, our your we are your family members. Maintaining us is your responsibility. By hook or by crook, you are supposed to maintain us. If for that you're doing and killing some people, that's your problem. You come and maintain us. By come what may, you should maintain us. आपको हमें maintain करना है. I don't care how you maintain us. So they said, what you do is your problem. We are not telling you go and kill people so that we can eat nice food. So you are doing it. It's done out of your own choice. So why are we responsible? Why should we take sinful reactions of those actions? So that is how uh, so text 11, when he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of his excessive greed. Text 12, thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in the maintaining his family member, is bereft of all beauty. He always think of his failure, grieving very, very deeply. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before. Even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out ox. Purport. It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'll repeat. It is judicious, therefore, it is fair. Prabhupada, right? It is all right. It is fair. It is judicious to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very big statement, isn't it? Very big statement, and this is like predict this is like fast forwarding our life. Earlier times we used to have VCRs, or now also we can fast forward a video or a movie, and try to go and to the end to see what happens. What's the climax look like. So like this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam is like fast forwarding our life and seeing how things will be 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 years, 25 years down the line. This is likely to be our situation. If we don't wake up today, this is where we will all land up into. Possible. Male, female, everyone, all of us might land in this kind of a situation if we are not careful in taking up Krishna consciousness seriously today. So, Prabhupada write very clearly, give up attachment, give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't take shelter of gambling. Don't take shelter of alcohol. Don't take shelter of your friends. Take shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So both the do's and don'ts both are always provided by Srila Prabhupada, so that one is not baffled, one is not bewildered, one gets very clear instruction. Prabhupada write further that one should employ himself in the Lord's service so that Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. Text 14. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Now we are taken the situation forward. We are like, now we have become old, we have become useless, we are no longer able to earn anything. We become a liability for our family. And then what is happening in the home? The foolish family man still does not become averse to family life, although he is now being maintained by those whom he once maintained, because now your children, your wife, your children have become older. Now they have started earning, and now they are trying to maintain you, whom you once upon a time were maintaining. Now, deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Thus, he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with many illnesses such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. In that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands becomes congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like ghar ghar, a rattling within the throat. In this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. Although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can because he is under the control of time. 18. Thus, the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses is in maintaining a family dies in great grief. Seeing his relatives crying, he dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. He dies most pathetically, in the most pathetic way, in great pain and without consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that at the time of death, one will be absorbed in the thoughts which he cultivated during his lifetime. A person who had no other idea than to properly maintain his family members must have family affairs in his last thoughts. That is the natural sequence for a common man. The common man does not know the identity, the destiny of his life. He is simply busy in his flash of life maintaining his family. At the last stage, no one is satisfied with how he has improved the family economic condition. Everyone think that he could not provide sufficiently. So that's a reality. I mean, this is a reality check. You can just pause and look back your family members, your loved ones, your friends, your parents also, or your bosses, your staff, whoever, your entire social circle, they all remember more what you could not do for them than what you have done for them. They always remember more what all you could not do for them, than what you have done to them. You can type yes if you have had similar experience. You your your social circle is never happy no matter how much you do. It's never satisfied, never content with what you have done. Always remember, many of them will always remember what you could not do rather than what you have done. And this is what one will face if they have not sufficiently developed Krishna consciousness in their life. This is this is their future. This is going to be the time machine. It's like taking a time machine and going into the future and seeing ourselves in this condition. So, because Prabhat write further that because of his deep family affection, he forget his main duty of controlling the senses and improving his spiritual consciousness. So he has no consciousness, and if you have only thought and worked on your sense gratification or the sensual sense gratification of your family members, then that is what is going to remain in your last thought. Antakale cha mam evam smaran muktva kalevaram. Yet prayati samadbhava yanti naste atra samshaya. Bhagavan says that if you remember me alone, you should remember me alone at the time of giving up your body, and then you will attain me. But yam yam vapi smaran bhava, whatever consciousness that you will have at the time of death, that consciousness you will attain without fail. That also Prashna says. And therefore he gives a solution that tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mai arpita manobuddhi. That by dedicating your mind and intelligence, investing your mind and intelligence in me, sarveshu kaleshu, all the time, every time, mam anusmara, cultivate remembrance of me. So this is what is required to be done. Unless this is done, you will end up having this. You have these are the two choices, the only two choices that one possesses. Become Krishna conscious, remember Krishna, go back to Krishna. Become family conscious, become sense pleasure conscious, become material wealth conscious, become politics conscious, become economics conscious, become social work conscious, become animal conscious. Whatever consciousness you develop, that thought you will have at the moment of your death, and that will guarantee you another birth in this material life. That will make it practically impossible for you to go back to Krishna. So, Prabhupada write further that this is because of his deep family affection, he forgets his main duty of controlling the senses and improving his spiritual consciousness. Sometimes a dying man entrusts the family affairs to his to either his son or some relative, saying, "I am going. Please look after the family." He does not know where he is going, but even at the time of death, he is anxious about how his family will be maintained. What will happen to my wealth? What will happen to my my property? What will happen to the land I purchased and I never told anybody about? What will happen to the money that I had hidden somewhere and not forgot to tell about everybody? Tell this to anybody. How what will happen to the jewelry? That is in so much possession. What will happen to my bank balance? What will happen to my shares? What will happen to this? What will happen to that? He's worried, he's anxious about, and he's in this anxiety, he's unable to think of Krishna. He's unable, he doesn't even know that he has to think about Krishna, but he cannot think anything else other than his family maintenance, and this is how he will give up his body, unfortunately, by remembering this. He does not know where he's going, but even at the time of death, he's anxious about how his family will be maintained after he's left his body. Sometimes it is seen that a dying man requests the physician to increase his life at least for a few years so that the family maintenance plan which he had begun can be completed. We know some people actually they were begging during COVID time also, people were caught by surprise. Suddenly they were in the deathbed and they were begging to the doctors that take all my wealth, but give me a couple of years. I have so much plans for my family maintenance, for my own dream to be achieved. I need to do that. If I don't want to give up, if I'll give up this body, I don't know where will I land. And so and so none of those physicians or best of doctors could even give one extra second to anybody, what to speak of giving years. So the time is up, time is up. That's it. That's the force of my time. That is that is outside everybody's control. Thus, Prabhupada writes further that thus these are the material diseases of the conditioned soul. He completely forgets his real engagement to become Krishna conscious. What is our real engagement? Real engagement is to become Krishna conscious and is always very serious about planning to maintain his family, although he changes families one after another. इस जन्म में ये फैमिली है, अगले जन्म में अगली फैमिली होगी, some other uh, some other person will become my wife and my children and my parents, but I'm trying to fix them. मैं सब आई एम थिंकिंग दैट मैं जा रहा हूँ बट ये लोग परमानेंट है, इनके लिए मैं प्रोविजन करके जाऊंगा, इनके लिए मैं प्रोवाइड करके जाऊंगा, सो दैट इनकी लाइफ टाइम अच्छी चले, ये लोग एंजॉय करें, मैंने तो नहीं किया, कम से कम ये लोग तो एंजॉय करें. So this is the mentality and everybody has different kind of mentality. बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है, कौन क्या कैसे सोचता है और कैसे अपना अपना मन बना लेते हैं, बट बहुत डिफिकल्ट चेंज करना होता है उनके लिए भी. सो गलत भी होता है, पता भी चलता है, फिर भी चेंज नहीं कर पाते. मेनी पीपल तो सफर लाइक दैट. 19 at death he sees his the messengers of lord of death comes before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes stool and urine. As a criminal is arrested for punishment by constables of the state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by the Yamadutas, who bind him by the neck with strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. उनको यातना शरीर दिया जाता है. यातना शरीर अ, होता ही है यातना देने के लिए. सो यातना आवृत्य पशय बद्ध्वा गले बलात्. सो उस यातना शरीर दे के उस जीव को लेके जाते हैं, so that he has consciousness and he can undergo severe punishment, he can suffer endlessly, but he cannot be killed because that yatana sharir is not material. And he will always remember what all wrong that he has done. So while carried by the constables of Yamaraj, he is overwhelmed and trembles in their hands. While passing on the road, he is bitten by dogs and can remember all the sinful activities of his life. He is thus terribly distressed. तो लोग सोचते हैं शरीर छोड़ने के बाद सब शांति शांति शांति, रेस्ट इन पीस. Utter nonsense. This word rest in peace itself is utter nonsense. If you read this, you'll understand that there's more suffering to come. After giving up this body also, if you have not lived your life properly, then more suffering awaits you after giving up this body. So पता नहीं चलेगा आपको कि शरीर में रह के दुख भोगना अच्छा है कि वो दुख, कौन सा दुख कम है. अकॉर्डिंगली वन में चूज, बट शारीरिक दुख भी बहुत होता है. एज द as the body goes towards old age, as it is described, multiple organ failures होते रहते हैं, कुछ खा नहीं सकते, दिख नहीं सकता, सुनाई नहीं देता. Everybody makes fun of you, nobody likes old people. And no matter and you become a liability, you become a, that's why in India old age homes are growing. Most of the people they are, they've grown old, their children are abroad, they don't want to come back until they hear the final news कि हाँ मर गया है बाप, आपका पिताजी मर गया है, माता जी मर गई है. Then they come for one day, perform some last rites and get lost back to America or wherever they came from. So they're not interested, nobody is interested in maintaining this old person. And such a person, उसने और कुछ किया ही नहीं हो, पूरी जिंदगी परिवार की देखभाल के लिए पूरी जिंदगी डिवोट कर दी हो, and that person gets this kind of a treatment and leaves his body in extremely distressed condition and suffers more after giving up this body also in the yatana sharir. Text 22. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through roads of hot sand with forest fires on both sides. He is whipped on the back by the constables because of his inability to walk, and he is afflicted by hunger and thirst. But unfortunately, there is no drinking water, no shelter, no place for rest on the road, and this person cannot die also. वो सोचेगा कि मैं ये शरीर भी छोड़ दूंगा तो मुझे रिलीफ मिलेगा, तो ये पर्सन यातना शरीर होने के कारण वो शरीर छोड़ भी नहीं सकते. तो कंप्लीटली सफरिंग के लिए ही बनाया है, एकदम स्पेशली डिजाइन शरीर है, और वो शरीर में उसको सिर्फ यातना ही मिलेंगी. एंड दैट्स व्हाई ही इज नाइदर डाइंग, ही इज नॉर इन द, वो कोई कंफर्ट ढूंढ रहा है बट कंफर्ट मिलता नहीं है, और अनलिमिटेड यातना मिलती है उसको, यातना पेन्स मिलते हैं. 23. While passing on that road to the abode of Yamaraj. He falls down in fatigue and sometimes he becomes unconscious. But he is forced to rise again. In this way, he is very quickly brought to the presence of Yamaraj. ये हमारी डेस्टिनेशन होने वाली है कि अगर हम चूज करेंगे, कृष्णा कॉन्शियस नहीं बनेंगे, दिस इज व्हाट अवेट्स अस. सो व्हाई टेक सच अ रिस्क? Kapil Bhagwan, Lord Kapila has told us for our own benefit. So we should be intelligent enough to be able to take up to the Krishna consciousness very easily. In the three pictures, we're depicting three activities done in Krishna consciousness, and so when they are done in Krishna consciousness and when they are done for sense gratification of the self, how the similar looking activities can produce completely opposite results. Gopis came in the middle of night to meet Lord, and they are glorified as the highest, the best devotees of Krishna. Gopis are glorified, but Lord is glorified by devotees, and devotees are glorified by Lord. So Lord personally glorified all the gopis, saying that I cannot repay you for the love that you are giving me. So unlimited affection that Lord has for gopis, love that He has for His gopis, and similarly, gopis have unlimited love for Krishna. Now, this, when done at the material level, will not be considered to be even by moral standards, it will not be considered to be a proper activity. But when it is done by Lord, it is a glorious activity. It is glorified by rishis and sannyasis, and all the great sages sing in glory, uh, sing the glories of gopis because of because of their exalted position in loving God, loving Krishna. Devotees holds nothing back, and nothing holds a devotee back. A devotee holds nothing back. Gopis didn't hold anything back. When they wanted to love Krishna, they wanted to give everything that they have for Krishna. They were ready to rot in hell for eternity, even if it would mean that if even if they could give relief to Krishna's headache for even for a second. They said we can rot in hell forever. If my Krishna is getting a headache, if the dust from my feet can cure his headache, and as a result of offering my the dust from my feet to Lord, if I'm going to go to hell, I'm ready to go to hell forever. But let my Krishna get cured. That kind of a love the gopis had. It's completely selfless love. And when they would come at the middle of night to meet Lord, they were not aware that whether they would be accepted back by the society, their husband, their in-laws, their children. What will they say? But they were completely devoted, completely surrendered to Krishna. They knew nobody else other than Krishna. So they held nothing back, and nothing could hold a devotee back. No situation, uh, no situation, no physical, mental situation could hold a devotee back from rendering service to Krishna. So they were always there to render service to Krishna. Second picture is Arjuna fighting a war. He killed people, killed thousands and thousands and lakhs of people for the satisfaction of Krishna, to fulfill the order given by Krishna. So he may appear to be master because he's a chariot driver and Krishna is a charioteer. But in fact, he knew and he understood that he is the servant of Krishna. If Karishye Vachanam Tava, he said, whatever you will tell me to do, I will do. Even if it means killing my brothers, so be it. Even if it means killing my guru, so be it. Even if it means uh, killing my own great grandfather Bhishma Dev, whom I love so much, so be it. If this is your order, I'm going to do whatever you say, O Krishna. And he fought a war. He fought a war uh, with great skill, great talent, and great ferocious war he fought, and he fulfilled the order of Krishna for his satisfaction. For him, Arjuna, more than killing, more than uh, worrying about bodily connection more than winning kingdom, more than taking revenge for his wife. Satisfying order of Krishna took primary importance, was that of primary importance. That's what he did, and therefore Arjuna is glorified in the world. Arjuna is glorified in the world. So similar action, if anybody performs in the world today, will not be glorified because they will be doing it on their own accord. So today, murderers get severe punishment, and rightly so, because they're not doing it at the order of Krishna. They're doing it for their out of their own envy, out of their own this thing, own uh, enmity that they hold against people, out of their own lusty desires, various various reasons for which murders are committed, suicides are committed. So, but that killing is not for the pleasure of Krishna, not on the order of Krishna. It is for one's own pleasure, one's own satisfaction. Hence, one is made to pay the price for that such an action. One feels the consequences for such an action. The last picture is beautiful story which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, where Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Krishna in Dwarika, expressed her desire to have Parijataka flower for herself. And that time, Parijataka flower was in the heavenly planet. So Lord immediately took off and sent a Garuda to bring that forest, to bring that tree from Swargaloka to this to Dwarika. And Indra at the same time saw somebody is taking his Parijataka flower, and he that Parijataka, same Parijataka flower was very dear to his wife Shachi. And and she said, "Oh, see, la, somebody's taking our Parijataka tree back to somebody's stealing." And then he came out with his Vajra to fight a war with Krishna. And Sukadev Goswami, while describing this incidents, he calls that Indra as a lampet. He's criticizing Indra because his wife does not want that Parijataka tree to be taken by Krishna. And he's critical of Indra for being a Stree lampet. But same Sukadev Goswami is glorifying Krishna, that how Krishna is ready to do anything for the satisfaction of his beloved wife. Now the same action, completely opposite descriptions, completely opposite outcomes. So Indra forgot that the Swargaloka is also created by Krishna. Swargaloka, whatever exists in Swargaloka is also property of Krishna. And if Krishna wants to take one of his property from Swargaloka to Dwarika, what is the problem? It is his property anyway. So Indra forgot that, because, and that's why Sukadev Goswami is very criticizing Indra for objecting to Krishna for taking that Parijataka flower to Dwarika. And in the same verse, he is glorifying Krishna for satisfying this desire of Satyabhama, his beloved queen of Dwarika. So we should understand this is how things are, unfortunately or fortunately. But we need to learn this. This is the art of acting in Krishna consciousness. If you keep Krishna at the center and then act, then the outcome becomes completely different. But whereas if you keep yourself or your own family members or your loved ones at the center and then you act, the same actions are entangling, badhyate, they are all bounding. Prabhupada went to America, and Prabhupada saw how Americans are bound. The Baro Krupa Kailo Krishna Adhamera Prati ki lagai লাগাইলে হাথা করো এবা গতি আছে কিছু আছে কিছু কার্যা তবে এই অনুমানে নাহে কেন আনি আনিবেন এই উগ্রস্থানে নাহে কেন আনিবেন Ei Ugrasthane. No, he is referring to Boston and New York and America as Ugrasthan. Now, it's now, America was the most progressed nation in 1965. It had all the comforts that one could imagine or think about. Tall buildings, fast moving cars, food, no scarcity of food. Nobody would, even the poor people would be fat because the state can provide food to even the poor and homeless people so much that they become fat. No, it's not that the poor people in America are necessarily thin. Even they could be obese, they could be overweighted. So much opulence America had, so much firepower America had, so much military power America had, so much economic power America had, so much technological advancement America had in 1965. And yet Prabhupada is referring to America as Ugrasthan. It is not it's a spiritual perspective. His vision is spiritual, he's full spiritual. He does not see what where he can go and enjoy in America. He's seeing to the American people going back to Krishna is so difficult because of this so much advancement. Everyone is indulging simply into the activities of sense gratification under the influence of Rajo and Tamo Guna. And hence uh, it's practically becoming impossible. How these Americans people will go back to Krishna? That was his worry. And therefore from that perspective he's calling America as Ugrasthana. He's not impressed by their tall buildings and fast moving cars and beautifully dressed people, white skinned beautiful people. He was not impressed by them at all. So he is referring to America as Ugrasthan. It's a horrible place. What who will call America a horrible place? So, but that is what Prabhupada's vision was. It is not due to the sinful lifestyle adopted by those people, but he goes into the deeper analysis. He's saying, why Ugrasthane? Because Rajatamo Guna era Sabai Achana. Everyone is covered by Achana, is covered by Rajo and Tamo Guna. वासुदेव कथा रुचि नाही से प्रसन्न. सो उनको वासुदेव की कथा के रुचि उनको बचा सकती है. आज वो आज वो बहुत ही डिफिकल्टी में है. वाई? बिकॉज दे आर कवर्ड बाय रजो एंड तमोगुणा. एंड बट वासुदेव की कथा में अगर उनकी रुचि आ गई देन तो उनको वो बच सकते हैं. सो जस्ट लाइक अ डॉक्टर डज डायग्नोसिस, प्रभुपाद इज doing a diagnosis of these people, that these people are fully covered by Rajo and Tamoguna. Now in this stage they cannot understand Krishna consciousness philosophy. They cannot understand any philosophy, and they cannot put into practice any instruction that he will give them. So this is primary reason or root cause for the problems that the America was having, and the forgetfulness of real spiritual identity and relationship with Krishna. That was the diagnosis Prabhupada came up with. Then what is the solution? Solution for them is hearing Vasudev Katha with ruchi or taste. Now, for us also, we are all in the similar condition today. If you look around, the society of 1926 and society of 1965, well, of American society of 1965 and Indian society of 1926 are not much different. They are equally horrible. Uh, there, the hippie movement was on the rise. Drugs were available with everyone practically. Weapon were available with people very amply. Very easy access to drug and weapon was there. The free sex was getting promoted. There was no concept of marriage, became very weak. The multiple people were living together just like animals in America at around that time. And if you see in the society today, the same things are on the rise. Similar things we see happening in India, where there are people don't want to, people are so much attached to the sense gratification that they are not interested in keeping themselves restricted to one woman or one man. So they want to keep their options open. So what do? Don't get married. Just start having living relationships. Just start having change your partner and try to become happy and like that. And all of this is done under the influence of alcohol and drugs, which are now very unfortunately very easily available to the people in general in and then the smoking. So smoking and cigarette, alcohol used to be the definition of of intoxication, but now we have gone further. We have gone to the drugs which are so easily available to the people. Common people also can have access to drugs, unfortunately, so easily. And so all of this can be cured. These lower modes are not permanent lower modes. They can be cured by engaging ourselves in Krishna consciousness, in the hearing of Vasudev Katha with ruchi. By this, we can we can move from lower modes to higher modes, and then can become fixed in Shuddha Sattva, that is pure devotional service. तबे कृपा हाइल मोरा कथा शुद्ध होबे सुनिया सबेरा सुख दुख जा गच्छिबे आ अनाइछो जड़ी प्रभु मारे नचाते अमारे नचाते नचाओ नचाओ प्रभु नचाओ से मते काष्ठेर पुतली जथा नचाओ से मते. Prabhupada concludes by requesting Krishna that make me dance, O Krishna, make me dance. नचाओ नचाओ प्रभु नचाओ से मते, मुझे आप डांस करवाओ, जो चाहिए वो करवाओ मुझसे. प्रभुपाद इज कंप्लीटली सरेंडर्ड. सो अर्जुना जैसे करिष्य वचनम तब वो कहते हैं, वैसे ही प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि नचाओ से मते, व्हाट यू वांट मी टू डू आई विल डू. एंड काष्ठेर पुतली जथा नचाओ से मते, जैसे वो कठपुतली होती है जो उसको हाथों से कंट्रोल किया जाता है ऊपर से, तो वो तो उस तरह प्रभात कहते हैं कि आप मुझसे जो आप करवाना चाहते हैं वो आप करवाइए. ये मेरा अनुमान है कि आपने मुझे जीवित लाया है इस अमेरिका में, तो कुछ तो आपका प्लान होगा. तो आपको जो करवाना है आप मुझसे करवाइए, आप मुझे इस्तेमाल कीजिए आपके प्लान्स के एग्जीक्यूशन में. तो इट्स नॉट दैट प्रभुपाद इज सेइंग माय प्लान, it's your plan. If you want to give Krishna consciousness, if you want temples to be established in America, it is your plan. I'm here to do whatever you want me to do. So, Prabhupada is not taking any credit here only. He's saying, whatever you want me to do, I will do. And so this is the solution that Prabhupada gives. The taste for hearing can only come with the mercy from Krishna. And Krishna sent his mercy through his devotees like Srila Prabhupada. So, Vasudeva Katharuchi, that is the solution to all our problems. So, Prabhupada established ISKCON in New York, 1966. He gave knowledge by preaching message of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. And he gave chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and prasadam to everyone, and also introduced four regulatory principles. He didn't compromise on that. He said no illicit sex means no illicit sex. If you are living with your girlfriend, get married. And that's how he got all his disciples married. And so they, as they progressed in chanting, their desire, their taste for alcohol also, they could easily give up. The taste for alcohol, taste for smoking, drugs, and gambling. Most of them were working in nightclubs, so they gave up those professions. They accepted noble profession. They all adopted Brahmanical style of living. They become better than even so-called Brahmanas, and that's how they transcended to the Krishna consciousness. They become Krishna conscious. They became pure devotees of Lord. And they dedicated their life for the service of Krishna. He gave knowledge, he gave Mahamantra, he gave four regulative principles, and which helped his disciples overcome their anarthas. Simultaneously, he engaged his young American disciples in various activities for Krishna. He opened temples on all major cities in America, Canada, London, UK, UK, Europe, Africa, Moscow, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. He created need for various services because there were temples, there were deities. So there was a need to make deities. So Sham Sundar Prabhuji was make expert carpenter. So he was making deities, crafting, carving deities from wood of Lord Jagannath. So once the deities are there, you need pujaris to take care of those deities, to everyday worship those deities, to everyday feed those deities, cook nice prasadam and feed them with prasadam, offer nice bhoga to the deities, make garland, change garland every day, dress them nicely, garland them nicely, give nice jewelry, worship them in a glorious way. So there were then devotees would come, walk into the temple. So those need to be taken care of. Those need to be offered prasad. So cooking prasad, offering prasad, bhoga, all of those services came up. Then book distribution was considered to be the principal activity of spreading Krishna consciousness. So people were distributing books to all the new people. And so the printing books, distribution books, creating the whole channel network, for making sure that the books are available with everyone, all the temples all over the world. So that itself becomes a job. So the supply chain for books also became a job. So a lot of these services were created by the expansion that we witness in 12 years from 1966 till 1977, 11 years. So that expansion created need for required so many had needed so many devotees to take care of all the management work, all the accounts work, all the work that got created as a result of opening of this temple, the preaching mission, the preaching programs, the cultivation programs. So much need was there of devotees, that so much devotees were able to do. And as a result of this, so what Prabhupada did, Prabhupada dovetailed and purified various modes, sattva, rajo, and sattva guna and tamoguna, sattva guna and rajoguna of his disciples in Krishna consciousness. So this partnership between Srila Prabhupada and Krishna worked wonderfully well as ISKCON and chanting of Harinam expanded in every corner of the world. So this is the problem statement that we had. Our problem was to summarize the actions for the satisfaction of the self or even for our loved ones are binding actions. They create loka karma anubandhini manushya loke. The 15th chapter also, Krishna says that in the manushya loke, you are subjected to either your all your actions will produce a reaction, and you will be bound by those reactions in this world. Karmanubandhini manushya loke. Similar actions performed by keeping Krishna at the center becomes cause for liberation. Attachment, not affection, to the family life should be given up as early as possible. Attachment to Krishna conscious life should be cultivated. We should aim to become Krishna conscious grahasthas, not grahamedis. And this way, we will be able to make full use of facility of human form of life by cultivating a remembrance of Krishna, love for Krishna, and whom we love. That we will remember at the moment of our death, and that's how we will go back to Krishna. So we'll just wait for some time for any questions that anybody might have.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much for the wonderful session, Guruji. And I was actually recollecting when that, as you were mentioning about the older people, that no one likes them. But I was reflecting on that how wonderful the process of Krishna consciousness is, that Prabhupada was never left alone by anyone and everyone. Rather, they were hankering, the rich American young or businessmen, boys and girls, they were always hankering to remain in association with Prabhupada. So that was one aspect I was looking towards, that Krishna consciousness is so blissful all throughout. So thank you very much for giving that perspective, and that is the project work of entire life. Hare Krishna, Guruji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hare
There
Krishna.
was one question also, Prabhuji, from Himachal Panda, Prabhuji. And this social attachment kind of a question you were asking, and he was asking what is the reason. So maybe if Prabhuji is here,
Okay,
he
yeah,
can
I'll
unmute
take
and ask.
some
But
questions.
couple of
What
more.
is the, yeah, couple of more questions. I'm just open the chat box. So Anupam is saying, Prabhuji, what is the difference between attachment and affection? So attachment and affection, we'll have a separate session for them on this particular topic. But in principle, uh, when with attachment, we're not able to see things as they are. See things as they are. That's the problem with the attachment. Dhritarashtra was attached to um, his son Duryodhana. So he couldn't see that whatever wrong also he was doing, he was supporting that because he was attached. Because if you're attached, but if you're affectionate but not attached, you'll be able to point out wrong as wrong. And that Dhritarashtra was not able to do. So there is a difference between the Krishna and between Dhritarashtra's attachments. Being attached, that caused the problem. So it's like when you get attached, you are not able to uh, you're not able you can't see things in right perspective. You can't for you, then the long term short term don't matter much. uh, the child wants to play, my child will play. And then that does mean that he will not study, he will not get good marks, he will not be able to uh, go to get admission to a proper college. So be it, my child wants to play today, I want his happiness. So this is attachment. One is, child is sick, let him not want to, and he is refusing to take medicine, let him not take medicine. My child should not be hurt, I should not hurt my child. So this is, thinking like this is the sign of attachment. When you're affectionate, you see sometimes, as a parent, sometimes your love, you demonstrate your love by exposing your child to face challenge. You force child to walk. Child is crawling, child is able to move around, but now you want child to stand and child to walk also, learn to walk also. Now in that attempt, child falls down few times and child can get hurt also. But persist, you still persist with your effort of making child stand and walk. Then child learn cycle. Child is able to walk and run. Why? What is the need to have learn a bicycle? But if you want, but as a parent, you will want child to face new challenges and prepare for those challenges also. So you will force child to learn bicycle. In that attempt, he may fall 2 3 times, may develop scratches here, scratches there, hand, leg, and he may cry, he may refuse, but eventually he will learn and then he will love it. So same similar. So this is the sign of affection, where you are your focus on the child's development. You have child's ultimate good in your mind, even though your immediate actions are causing child to cry. You 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 don't want child to eat 10 ice creams at one time and fall sick tomorrow. Now when you take away those 10 ice creams or 10 chocolates from the child is crying, child is may throw tantrums, child may say, you're not my father, you're not my mother, I'd hate you, child will say. Now if you're affectionate, if you're attached, you will not want that child to say that to you. So you will give those 10 ice creams and 10 chocolates. But as if you're not attached, you are affectionate, you will still tolerate that and make sure that child doesn't eat those 10 chocolates at one go or 10 ice creams at one go and then fall sick tomorrow. So this is how attachments and affection play out in real life. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Lata Mataji. Always I circulate my mobile number. I hope you have my mobile number. Send a question and no need to group. Send personal DM questions through through the yeah directly to on the WhatsApp, and we can get back or we can talk.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
As you said, the relationship between gopis and Krishna, it is unconditional love. And if you see this present material world, the relationship between the parents and the children, the parents are looking children in all spheres for the best. That is the goal of the parents, to see that children should do best in the world. So for that sake, they can go to any extent to support, provide all sorts of love, affection, etc., and etc. But once they grow old, when they go outside, once they start after marriage, it has been seen that the behavior, the scenario is getting changed. So, what is the problem and who is at the fault? What is exactly, as you said, affectionate and attachment? There is a boundaries between the two. So, is it that it is because of attachment it has happened? Or it is not affectionate?
So the Prabhuji, yeah, I mean the verses that we covered discussed today actually covers that situation. That there will come a time when you will no longer be productive, will no longer be able to provide the same facility that you used to provide earlier, and end of the day, no one is happy. And we put that question also that we people always remember what you have not done for me than what they remember what you have done for me. That's just the nature of a human's mind. It just point, and this is what is going to happen. So what option do we have really? We do our best to give whatever we can to our children, so that they can grow, they can become nice devotees also. But we should also give them Krishna consciousness, because ultimately by becoming the best doctor, best engineer, the best software engineer, best chartered accountant, the child will not go back to Krishna. So if the child is also a, a, this your child is actually Krishna's child. He's been put into your custody, and it's your job to offer best care to that child. Best care also includes care of giving child knowledge about his real father, so that he does not remain wandering in this world in search of different fathers in different lifetimes. So both aspects, so give comforts but also give knowledge about the real father, knowledge about how to go back to real father. This knowledge is coming through Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So our child, we should give, try to give both to the child, the material education and also the spiritual education. A child, based on his or her conditioning, may or may not accept it, but we have to do our part, and we have to do our part with affection, but eventually we have to move on because the child's conditioning will determine what child will do ultimately, whether child will accept Krishna consciousness, will accept the philosophy based on his or her own conditioning, that her own journey will will uh, will continue, and beyond the point we have no control over it. So once we understand that we have done our part, and then having given your best to your children in both terms, the material terms as well as in spiritual education term, it's from after that it's up to that child to pick it up, and you need to focus on your own destination, your own sadhana. And that's how at times ultimately you will be alone, you'll have to fly your own aeroplane anyway. So that energy which you will otherwise waste in forcing your children to become Krishna conscious, or convincing your children how much you did for them, um, that same energy can be utilized in cultivating constant remembrance of Krishna, and that will help us go back to Krishna ultimately. So it's going to happen. That's
Yeah.
It cannot be. If it doesn't happen, great, but it's likely to happen in the material world. This is how the material world is designed.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. One thing, in between anything happens. Suppose the same question, parents, children, and gopis and Krishna. Things keep on going, and when something going bad or worst, sufferings, will we relate to karmic reaction? Suppose parents are suffering at the end, even they have done best for to their children's, what best they can do to their capability. Will it be related to karmic reaction?
Yes.
Because as you said earlier classes, so most of the things are in prarabdha. Most of the things are set in the prarabdha. When we give up bodies, so we take a new bodies, taking our all mind and intelligence and all karmic reactions. So will it be related to that?
Yes, the sufferings that we may face in our old age are all karmic, are our karma that we will be birthing ourselves. Got nothing to do with the children. The children, if they can assist us in our maintenance and our well-being. They look after us. That can just uh, make your sufferings at a mental level little more tolerable, because at least you will see your children taking care of you rather than some paid nurses. But that's unlikely to happen in many cases. So if it happens, it's great, as I said. But apart from that, at a bodily level, when our organs are making noise and start failing, it's us who has to face it, and nobody else can do anything about it. So, and it's because of our own karma, we will get those painful situations.
Okay, Prabhuji. One last question. Prabhuji, what we could do in the society if this is happening in day-to-day practical life for all the materialistic persons, how it could be imbibe this Krishna conscious from the very early stage of each and every life, from the childhood, how it can be given and that atmosphere can be influenced with Krishna conscious, how they can think of that, and they will be detached to the materialistic life and more attached to the spiritual life. Then
So,
only it will be more possible or more harmonious towards the end. This is what I think.
yeah, yes, Sergio.
Okay,
So
Prabhuji.
to make that happen, simple solution is to make Bhagavad Gita as center of our life. Bring Bhagavad Gita at the center of life, and learn those instructions and follow those instructions. It's actually as simple as that. The other religions, if you'll see, mm, they, they 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 try to create their life, live their life more. Many of them they try to live their life around their principal scriptures, like like Quran and Bible. But in our society, we see that Bhagavad Gita is not as accepted um, as widely as it should have been. Even though generally people are respectful about Bhagavad Gita, but they are unwilling to accept the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, especially which are connected with sense gratification, regulation of sense gratification, regulation of a material essential activity. Basically, they think this is the time for India to shine, and India to shine means India to drink costly alcohol, India to smoke costly cigars, India to open new casinos. This is the conception of shining India is all about. When the when the when if you the criteria whether a place is developed or not is where is one of the question that is asked is, does your place has McDonald and KFC nearby? How
Yeah.
far it is? And if McDonald is open in your place, you're living in a city. It's no more so this is the conception, this is the social conception is changed because of this westernized uh, this is the damage done by Westerners to us. That
Correct, correct.
we still made to believe that whatever they are doing is great. So if your village now has a Burger King, McDonald, and KFC, it has become you're living in a city. That's great, and you're advanced. And so this is the conception that people are having. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, because of this, the major it's the large number of people think this way. The others who think otherwise also, they are scared to express their hearts, because then there will always be a feeling that what others will think of me, they will think I'm an idiot who think like this. But that still remains the reality, remains the reality. This unfortunately, and that's why because Bhagavad Gita is not at the center of our life, we all lead a misled life, wrong lives with wrong
exactly, exactly.
identification. Okay.
Exactly. One thing that body is temporary, that concept, as I believe, that concept should come as quickly as possible. This body is temporary, and we are after the body pleasure, pleasure of the body or pleasure of the self. That is the uh, nucleus of all the problems starts from there. When we think of self pleasure, bodily pleasure, then everything comes around, and that it becomes we got entangled, and we have any time to think of Krishna or a spiritual mind. That is what is the conclusion, I believe. Okay,
Yes.
Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Gita Manjari Mataji, you have a question? You have, I see one hand raised.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी सादर प्रणाम समवेत भक्त वृंद सभी को सादर प्रणाम प्रभु जी when the session started as you were describing regarding the staying in Krishna consciousness in spite of your household duties, and you narrated very beautifully how the two things are two kind of people are there, and my query was ki how to when we start following spirituality, a lot of hurdles come up, like our mind is not constant at times, a lot of things come up when we are going to do seva or cook Krishna prasadam even, and many things come up. How to stay sane especially, and how to stay still Krishna consciousness and focus on Krishna in spite of all the obstacles we face in our household life. Okay, so Markine Bhagavata Dharma cleared my doubts actually. Thanks for that. Those 6 lines I would like to tell. Ashi kichu karjo tabo e অনুমানে নাহি নহে কেন আনিবেন এই উগ্রস্থানে রজতম গুণে এরা সবাই আচ্ছন্ন. These 3 lines actually always kind of we was our mind ki, how to progress in spirituality, especially in Krishna consciousness. Then last concluding lines actually gave me a base that আনিয়াছো যদি প্রভু আমারে নাচাতে নাচাও নাচাও প্রভু নাচাও যে মতে কাষ্টের পুতুলি যথা নাচাও সে মতে. Means if Krishna has some purpose, he will definitely give you the guidance, and that guidance is being given by you people, and especially with Prabhupada. So thanks so much. That is what I wanted to tell. Query started, but it all resolved with your session. So thanks so much, Prabhupada.
Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Oh, yeah. So there are, I think, believe some other sessions or questions are also there in the chat box. I will hopefully be able to get back to those who have asked those questions. But because it's 1 o'clock, I don't want to extend beyond this. We'll continue to discuss Bhagavad Gita chapter 5. In next session, we'll have another wonderful session coming up. With another beautiful concept from which we'll pick up from the verses of Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, and we will get back to all those who have posted the questions but not got the answers. I'll personally get back to you through voice messages. Hopefully all of you have my mobile number. If not, you can just take down and just send me a WhatsApp message so that I can save your number at my end, and I can then respond to your questions if at all any. So please stay Krishna conscious. Join morning japa sessions every day. Read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam every day, and stay Krishna conscious as much as you can. And we meet next Sunday. With this will 16 onwards, we'll have Jagannath Rath Yatra starting, and various places we have Rath Yatra. Try to participate in those. Jagannath Puri is on 16th, 16th. Mira Road in Mumbai has a Rath Yatra scheduled for 16th of July. 18th of July, Juhu Rath Yatra will be happening, and 24th July, the last day on which uh, Bhivandi Rath Yatra will be happening. On 18th, we also have one Attapur Rath Yatra in Hyderabad. So find out your nearest ISKCON temple wherever you might be, and try and participate wholeheartedly in those Rath Yatras. The weather might not be very supportive. It may rain, so be it. We get wet so many times. Once let's get wait for Lord's Rath Yatra festival celebration, and and hopefully you all get chance to uh, offer your bhoga in the Chappan Bhog. Many Chappan Bhogs offerings will be arranged by the temples, so do cook and offer your bhogas as much as participate in all ways, whichever way and manner in which you can participate in those festivals and make the celebration bigger. And that was, so these festivals increase our love for Krishna, and our boons, they boost our Krishna consciousness also. So it's we should look forward. Fortunately, by Prabhupada's mercy, we have so many festivals, always something or the other coming up. So please stay in touch with devotees and participate wholeheartedly in celebrating all these festivals in whatever manner and way you can. That way, become more Krishna conscious as a process. So thank you everyone. We'll conclude today's session. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, all
Hare
devotees.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam. Thank you
Krishna.
very
Dandavat
much,
pranam.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavot
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Dandavot
Krishna
Pranam Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Dandavat
Thank you so
Pranam.
Hare
much
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna
pranam.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.